Hello everyone, my name is Vaibhav and I am from Growjunction. And for this podcast, we have with us Mr. Prathmesh. So before starting the podcast, I would like to give a brief introduction about Sir. Sir has done his MBA from prestigious IIM Calcutta. He has also done his Bachelor's Engineering from IIT Jabalpur. Now he's currently holding the post of a product manager at Microsoft. So it's nice to have you with us. So if you can give a brief introduction about yourself, your company. Obviously, everybody knows about Microsoft as a company, but what is your role in the company? What is your day-to-day responsibilities? What are your KPIs? What are your KRAs? So if you can give us a brief idea about that.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Thanks for having me on this podcast. It's great to interact with you and with all the audience. Uh, I'll start with how my journey at Microsoft started, right? So I completed my BTech in mechanical engineering, and in IIM Calcutta, generally I was pursuing. mm, I was trying to explore different domains, different functions in which I can build my career. So as part of that, I was also exploring product management as a field, and that's why, like if you generally see the curriculum in B schools, you get to choose your electives based on where you want to pursue your career. So uh, that's where I tried to keep it balanced. We had a lot of IT related electives, so it helped impart some understanding of the field because my training in the undergraduation was in a different field, right? But I always had interest in tech. Everybody has these days, I guess. So Microsoft, I started as product manager. It was uh, a very new field that I was entering into. Generally, we have seen people taking up the product manager roles with experience at least in software development or some experience in IT or at least some experience in general, right? But for me, I joined as a complete fresher after. Uh, it's a different story how that entire process happened, but that's why it was a great and get to know what I have to do and what it will take to make sure that you're building the right products and how do you develop your philosophy of product management. So that's where Microsoft is really helpful in a way. It gives you enough opportunity and a platform to work on yourself. And as a person who has not experienced anything, who has not had any corporate experience before, it gave me ample amount of opportunities and time to first of all shadow other people and try and understand how seniors are taking decisions, how leadership is happening. Currently, my primary area of focus is I'm working on a product which caters to customer service domain. So you may have faced issues with products, services, you may have called contact centers, right? So that entire journey orchestration of how you connect a call with the contact center and how that call gets routed to an agent who will then, bring in your past information, what you have done with that how you interacted with that company, and then try to help you solve those customer queries. So we come in that space. Generally, it is referred as CRM world. So we are helping businesses manage their customers, keeping their customers happy. So it's a B2B SaaS product. Generally, what we do, if I have to be very specific right now, is there are multiple domains of this entire industry that I had chance to work on, like messaging, omnichannel communications, then real-time translation, then surveys. Currently, we are primarily working on the routing aspect, like how do you connect customer with the right agent in first attempt. So that's the crux of what I'm currently doing. And if you see, Microsoft has very clear vision in terms of how they want to build their products. So that's why you have very well defined set of KPIs, as you mentioned, like to measure how your product is doing in the industry. And it has a very good legacy in terms of product management as a field, how it has evolved. Microsoft has been part of that journey, right? In fact, in one of the interesting interviews that I have seen of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates together, Steve said that Microsoft is the first software company in the world. So you can see how that entire philosophy has carved into a product, a working field for professionals. And that entire knowledge, you get to learn that from other people, all the people around. You have people who have been with Microsoft for last 20 years, 25 years. I have seen people with 30 years also being with Microsoft. So it's really a great place to be, to learn things. And I think product management as a field, I know it is evolving at a very fast pace now, but it's good to learn from these first generation product managers and use that in our current day-to-day work.
So I had, so interestingly, I had 2-3 questions in my mind. I'll go one by one.
Yeah.
See that a lot of people write program managers and product managers. So I wanted to understand that difference as well. Like, what is a product manager and what is exactly a program manager? Because I'm not able to understand that difference.
See, every organization visualizes their roles in a different manner, but there are certain core capabilities or core competencies which every role would need, which remains same across. Let's say you call a product manager, a program manager in different domains, right? In Microsoft, to be specific, there was not any role of product management. We used to call everything as a program manager. So we had business program managers, we have technical program managers, we have customer program managers, customer success managers, right? And there are other different variations now that has come up, like fast track managers, fast track program managers. So Microsoft generally treats program management as overall field which encompasses product, project, and product management, project management, and in general, whatever that caters around these entire two domains, right? To be specific, for the way work that I'm doing right now falls under the category called technical program manager, right? And another important aspect is the Microsoft is also working towards streamlining and making these things industry compliant now. So most likely the titles will get changed to product managers, is what we are seeing right now. In a way, you can say, program manager is, I would say, is a bigger responsibility or a different nature of responsibility, where you also need to take care of how you are managing the project, that entire project. What are the delivery timelines you're handling, and along with that, what are the core product features that you're building. So it's an overlap of that as a program manager. We get some flavors of that in our work, day-to-day work, but generally, currently, we are much closer to the product, I would say, than to the business.
Sir, this question is also asked by a lot of people when I post things on my LinkedIn, is that do you have to be very technically aligned to be a product manager, say at Google, say at Microsoft? Because what I have seen and heard is that there are 2 to 3 types of product managers. One who are there with the technical aspect, but also few which are aligned to the business aspect. They may not have all the technical expertise, but they are aligned to the business aspect of the thing. So if you can share some light on that.
Yeah, and this is one of the apprehensions or very early thoughts that I had when I accepted the offer, that it's going to be a difficult ride if the role relates very core to all the technical aspects. And this is the exact thing that I was constantly asking when I was being interviewed by Microsoft, that I can't bring any technical skills to the table. What I can bring is I can understand. I'm very good at consumer understanding, and I can help you come up with good product features using the level of understanding that I would have. And going back to what I mentioned, there are different roles, right? So we have product managers which are closer to customers, we have product managers which are closer to business, and then we have product managers which are closer to product itself. So customer, the responsibility, I'll just try to be very crisp in terms of how each of these roles will cater and will add to the product. Right? Customer product managers are generally the ones who make sure that all the customer requirements are coming along. It is being conveyed to the business and act as a liaison between them expecting something product from the product and product delivering something for the customers. So they sit right at that corner, right at that overlap. Then there are business program managers who generally take care of making sure whatever vision the business has from a particular product. Let's say I am working in CRM, so Microsoft would have a vision that I have to reach to this level in this industry. Like I have to be in leaders quadrant in Gartner report. That can be one of the important KPIs for business. To make sure that that is conveyed properly with all the stakeholders and taking into consideration of what is coming from customers, what is coming from his industry, they need to make sure that they are prioritizing things for the business. Right things are being prioritized. And the last part is the person who are generally working as technical product managers, who make sure that all these requirements, that they also play an important role in prioritizing and making sure what needs to be built. They'll take care of making sure that these things are built in a proper way. Whatever engineering innovations that are there in the company are being leveraged, and all the customer and business commitments are properly fulfilled. Right. So this is not the hard and fast categorization, I would say. Every company has things in a different manner, but this is what I could generally perceive of all these things. Now, coming to the question that you asked about the technical expertise, right? I think as a product manager, the role itself demands you to understand your customers and make sure what are those customer needs that you want to address using your product, and then work with engineering or work with all the other teams that you have at your disposal to bring out a beautiful product from that vision, right? So if you're good at these things, if you're good at understanding the problem statement, if you're good at elaborating the problem statement, and if you're good at prioritizing it and making sure that you're making use of all the resources that you have at your disposal to come up with a good feature, that is enough. You don't need to have any coding skills or hard skills that are needed for all these things. I don't, I mean, personally, I don't know any language in that depth, right? All of us study some level of coding in the first year of engineering. I guess that's the only introduction we have with this entire core technical skills. Obviously, you need to understand what tech stack you're using, how that relates, which tech needs to be leveraged for which purpose. Let's say you're creating an extensibility feature for your product. You need to know what API is. You need to know how the integrations happen with third-party support. So you need to be aware of these constructs. And I don't think it's a difficult task to make yourself aware of these things. It's quite easy, and you need to just spend some time with it. I believe in slow learning, but I think it's really important that you understand what you need to learn. Don't get flustered when you see people doing a lot of great job in their development, and you think that that gives them a leverage. Ultimately, we are here to solve a problem. That's the only thing that we need to do.
It's more about understanding the business rather than getting into many technical aspects of it, rather than understanding every code that is running. But what is actually happening, what is the outcome, and what they are using, you must be knowing the basics that what you're supposed to say. And what I believe is for every business. If you are going to Microsoft, any business, you have to understand what the basic or not the actual code, but what's happening, what's your cause and effect, and everything. This is basic understanding for every business.
I think every job needs that ability to identify and solve the problem. If you're good at it, that's it. All the technical skills, all the software skills or application skills are just acting as an aid for you to achieve that. If you don't know what you want to do, that how part you will never come to, right? And as a product manager, you just need to define what and why you are doing something. You have your engineering always there to help you with their, like, because see, at least in Microsoft, I have met very, very phenomenal people with development skills, right? So it's their job and they are doing it quite good. Potentially it's your job to make sure that you are leveraging that expertise. That's it. And it's there in every, like you pointed out, it's there in all the jobs, like all different jobs. Ultimately, it boils down to understanding the problem and making sure you're using resources to solve the problem. That's it.
Just that you don't need to be scared if you're coming from, say, a commerce background, MBA, and then also you can go into an Microsoft as a product manager. Just that you need to be open to learning the basics that you may have not learned in your engineer commerce days.
Yeah. Yes.
Coming to skills, sir, what do you think are the essential skills for a product manager? What do you think, like, on the field, you feel that someone needs to polish these skills if you want to get into a career of product manager? So, what do you think are the essential skills that are required?
See, I can't be very specific on while answering this, because the skills that I can talk about are very much abstract in nature, right? So I'll tell you how a journey of any development of any feature, right? Let's say you are using anything, how that happens. You see your customer facing an issue and you understand that, okay, there is a problem that you need to work on. Now it's different product managers approach solving that, understanding the problem in different manners. The way I look at it is, you need to spread out different aspects of that problem statement in small chunks, so that you have that entire picture in front of you, as in what are the exact points in the entire customer journey that customer is facing different pains, and what are those pains which can collectively come together and address feature. So the most important aspect for a product manager is to explore the problem, right? You need to explore the problem. You're not here to, you don't even need to know the answer, right? You can, as a collectively, as a team, you can come together and find answer for the, but unless you explore the problem properly, you will not be able to, come up with good product features. So, and that's why I said it's abstract, right? You can't really, these are the skills which are very hard learned skills. You have to work on different aspects very closely and build those competencies slowly. I'm also not there at this point of time. I'm still learning in that phase. But I would say from the point that I joined and the different features that I got to work upon, I realized, okay, how people are approaching exploring the problem statements. Next important aspect is, many times what happens is, what are the important things that you have to do, but it's not always possible for you to, because of resource constraints, because of business constraints, you may not be able to, take up that entire thing. So I refer to it as going vertically in a product feature, vertically down, instead of covering the horizontal breadth of the product. So you need to be very good at prioritizing things. You should be able to understand, you can use different principles here, right? We have different optimization principles, prioritization principles, and make sure what serves the best purpose. And the very commonly used word, that is MVP, right? So you need to make sure that you are very good at understanding what the MVP is, what is the minimum viable product, as well as the maximum value product that you're building for your company or for your business. So these are the two important aspects. Apart from this, there is a third angle to this entire problem, right? To this entire story, is to manage different stakeholders. So as a product manager, you will interact with a lot of teams, right? In Microsoft, typically this problem exists, or not problem, I'd say, this situation where, or any big company where there are platform products, where there is a core product, and then you're building you're taking out threads and building other products with it. So what happens is, it's really important to manage these different teams, different stakeholders. We have our internal and external stakeholders. We have our customer commitments, we have our business commitments, we have our leadership commitments. All these things should come together. And as a product manager, you should be able to manage these stakeholders, keeping them on the same page, making sure that the strategy with which you are approaching a problem statement is conveyed, people are aligned to that strategy. Even if people are not aligned, make sure that you are making proper communications. That communication line should be open with all the participants, all the stakeholders. So these three important things are there. You need to be good at understanding and exploring the problem. You should be very good at knowing what you need to do. And the last thing is you should be good at managing all these different stakeholders. Like these are all abstract skills. You can't go and learn it in a day or something. It takes time to learn these things. Is what it.
Two things that MBA students know is that one is MVP and one is USP. I think these are the two things that every MBA class this has been taught. Another aspect is it's one of the podcasts, one of the experts said that a very good way of generating that problem solving skills in your MBA is by taking part in a lot of case study competitions. Since you are also from an MBA, you have done MBA from IIM Calcutta. So what's your take on that? What's the importance of case study competitions for MBA students? And in terms of corporate also, how are they help?
See, business case studies, generally what happens is businesses make use of these things, case studies or interns in a way. At least that's what I have seen businesses doing from my very limited experience. There are many people with a lot of experience and they would be knowing things much more profound manner than what I have learned. But there are some hypotheses that you want to test. That's the first thing. That's the easiest. What you can do is you can put out a case study and see what different ideas you're getting. And second is, let's say you have done something you've taken a call, and now you want to see if there are any different approaches to that call, right? As a business. So these are the angles from which companies are coming for the case study. Now, as a MBA student, right, I think it's paramount that you give due importance to these case competitions, because first of all, it gives you very fair chance to get into a good company. I'm just not biased to product, but all good companies, right? So if you take my example, I was interning I had a very good internship project with a broadband company called Act FiberNet, right? And it was related to marketing, but somehow I was the final offer didn't come from them. So for a person who is studying in such competitive environment in IIM Calcutta, right? So to make that mark, to make the cut for all the different companies that are coming in, case study is that direct entry, I would say. I almost participated in, I think, 7 to 8 case studies, and you will find many other my friends and my batchmates also doing the same. We are extremely serious about these in IIM Calcutta. And the 2 job offers that I got before Microsoft, I had got offer from another communication company, Airtel. So both the offers actually came via case study, right? Microsoft has clear criteria when it comes to shortlisting candidates, but you get direct interview opportunities when you get through these case competitions. So Airtel and Microsoft is what I had got. I had participated in few other competitions also. Now this is all what benefits you get out of these things, right? But what you learn from the case competitions is, first of all, you get to brainstorm on a lot of levels, different problem statements, different industries, because there are a lot of companies that are coming with case competitions and coming with problems, right? And most likely these problems will be relevant to the times where it has been posed to you. So that way it gives you a good opportunity to come together as a team, work on a problem statement, put together your thoughts, brainstorm on the ideas. And the most important aspect is present those ideas to leadership or to company in a well-defined manner, which helps you prepare for your job in future, right? All these skills, all these presentation skills will definitely be put to use. At least in product management, you have to have a lot of meetings and talk to a lot of people. So a lot of presentations you'll be making. So those things are really helpful. And in a way, you get to interact with many people, right? You form a lot of teams, different teams. For different case competitions, you'll have different teams. You'll interact with many, many new people. And here, you're not hanging out as a friend. You are on an expedition with a team to solve a problem. So that interaction is different, right? So that way, it's really important to make sure that you're giving due importance to these things.
Three things I would like to raise. Number one, case
Yeah.
studies not only help in your problem solving abilities because you have to constantly think about what could be the solution, how to apply what I studied in my MBA, which model to apply, how will I solve this. And another very important thing about case studies is that it's a great leveler. Like, I could be from an XYZ college, someone could be from an IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, but if your idea is good, if you have understood the problem statement and you deliver the right solutions, you will be selected. They will not select you basis just that you are from IIM Calcutta or just that you are from IIM Ahmedabad. Obviously, there will be a certain level of their work, and if you can produce that same level, you will be selected despite you being from any XYZ college. So that is also one point that case study competitions give.
Perfect. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a good way to put it, actually.
And I would also now come back to since a lot of MBA students who would be going into their placement would be watching this podcast. I would
Hmm.
like to ask about CV building a bit for a product manager role. Like if they want to go into a product manager role, how should they build their CV? Like what should be the key elements in their CV so that their first of all their CV gets shortlisted. That would be the first part of any procedure. So what should be the key points that company look for? How can they make their CV stand out? That's what we say. So if you can just bring some light about it.
Yeah, that's a very, it's like an enigma to solve that problem. But I'll give you some thumb rules, right, which generally people look out for. And these things will also, you will find, like if you get shortlisted, are helpful in your interviews, right? So put your all the tech related projects, you have to frame it properly. You have to make sure that what was the problem statement you were trying to solve there, what are the important technologies that you evaluated, and what are the solutions that you have come up with. And as a product manager, there is a very cliched word called holistic, right? You have to be holistic in everything. So make sure that all whatever project you're covering it holistic. All the points are covered, and obviously, like people make sure that all the I don't need to tell all the MBA people what keywords to use, what power verbs to use. All those things are given, but I think what really stands out is see, you don't need to look at all the projects in your CV, but there is something which actually makes it sell. This is just my philosophy behind all this. There is one point in your CV that makes it sell to any person. Identify that and put it right in the front, right at the face of your selector or whoever it is, right? Make sure you are tweaking your CVs for different roles that you're applying. Let's say you have experience in let's take your example. Right now you're working building a podcast. So if you're applying for a company that relates more in media and entertainment business, where you probably you'd like to highlight this, rather than, let's say, there's another company which deals with some retail sales, right? You would look out for something else. So you have to tweak it, you have to tune it that way. Give the person who is looking at your CV the reason to select. That's the baseline. Now it's up to you. Every person has different aspects on their CVs. Like in my case, I'll give you my example. So even though I was working in doing a marketing internship, as I told you, right? But it had few aspects of product management. I had to evaluate. Actually, I was working for a product rollout of an OTT device, right? Just like Fire Stick, Chromecast. So, Act Fibernet had released an Android-based OTT device. So, one of the important aspects of that entire product experience was to evaluate the user journey and user experience, and what is better in Android TV. Can it be made as a selling point, marketing material? And one of the points that came out that time, again, I don't think it is relevant now, is there was a Chromecast was not allowing Amazon Prime to be casted on the TV, and Amazon Fire Stick didn't have built-in native YouTube app, right? So these are some of the comparisons which were, and Android TV is the only platform that was bringing these things together, right? So we use that as a selling practice. Now this is an interesting product-related thing, right? It's not. It can be related to marketing also, but I put it that way when I had applied for Microsoft. And one of the interviews, we had multiple rounds of interviews, but one of the interviews we discussed only on these aspects. What was the OTT device? How did we sell it? What are the key differentiators? What was the UX? How would you like to enhance the UX? And as part of my internship, I had almost, interacted with every Android TV, every TV OS. There's WebOS from LG. There is Tizen OS. Then there is Android TV, Apple TV. So I knew what I was talking. So in a way, it helped. And when I applied for marketing companies, I tweaked it in a different manner, right? For the same thing, I could tweak it in a different manner. So it's up to you what experience you have and how you put it. Obviously, it should be there. You shouldn't be framing things because it becomes difficult later on to defend if you have not done it in that angle. I'm not saying you have not done it at all, but let's say it's a supply chain internship or any other experience, and there is no product angle to it, but you're trying to bring it out. It would be difficult for you to defend that in an interview. So that's a very basic suggestion I would give.
Yeah, what I learned from you is that if you have something that hooks the interviewer or hooks the person,
yeah,
you feel like, okay, this is something related that he has done, and it would be a little curious, like, okay, let him shortlist and let me understand what he did there, whether his experience is relevant or not to what I'm looking for. So it's about creating that, what do you think that your interviewer would be needing, and based on that, create some kind of a hook.
Yes. Some relevance factor, create that, because 10 seconds or 15 seconds hardly an interviewer would spend on the CV. So they are not looking for reasons to reject you. They're actually, because there would be many if you try to find, but they are looking for reasons to select. If they get only even one or two in first glance, you will definitely be through it.
Like, I interviewed one of the HRs. She was the HR of a very big firm, and she told me that we take 6 seconds per CV. That was very shocking to me. I was like, I took 2 hours to tweak my CV for your interview, and you are taking 6 seconds to write.
Yeah, we spent around a month or a month and a half to prepare CVs, and then you're rejecting me. But I mean, it's not their fault. There are so many candidates that they want to that are vying for the same seat. So I think it's a logistical limitation that they have.
Yeah.
Unless we come up with some AI models which will help them do those things.
Because I have seen my own placement cell sitting with us till 5 o'clock before the company comes in. Like, you have to make a CV, make it properly. These are the things that you have to do. And then I heard this from that it takes around 6 seconds for us to evaluate whether we want to shortlist or not.
There you have it then. Yeah.
So then coming to the next part, so once the CV is shortlisted, then you go into the interview round. So any tips or any particular, say, like when I say something or someone asks me, name what questions they ask. So there are some basic questions I ask, Why if you're from engineering background, why this switch? So as a product manager also, first of all, how to prepare for an interview, if you have some tips regarding that, and product manager specific, if there are certain questions or certain things that he or she needs to know before stepping into that interview.
See, interviews are a totally different deal from uh, non-verbal communication, right? Like CVs or something. Here, a lot of factors will contribute to create an image for your interviewer, what kind of person you are. So, and this is what I have always been telling, like whenever people have reached out to me for any interview tips or anything, it's not about product management. First, you have to make sure that you are making your that interview atmosphere should be human, right? You should connect with the person at a human level at first. And how to do that, there can be multiple ways. But the most important aspect is you should be interested in the vision of the company, what company wants to do, what they want to achieve in their life. So in their entire span of how they are planning things, right? So make sure that those things are there when you ask questions at first, because no one know there are few interviewers where they will directly start asking you questions. First is like, let's get to know each other, who you are, who I am. And if you're a forgettable, you have a forgettable intro, that's a difficult uh, thing to remember. Again, it's the same thing as CV, right? Let's say I'm interviewing 20 people. How would I remember that one person who said something different from the others? So need to find that differentiation first. And coming to the core product aspects, I think you get to solve a problem. Generally, product management interviews are case interviews. You get a case to solve. Right? How do you build a product for this? How do you get a technological solution for this? How do you solve this problem? How do you build a revenue model for this company? So there are different aspects, and there are a lot of books to support you in that journey. But I think few obvious things that you should not do is, if you're using a framework, don't say that you're using a framework. Okay, that is that's a non-starter according to me. Like, I'm using circles framework here, or let's do MECE for here, right? These things, see, frameworks are abstraction of human thought process, right? It's an easier way for you to understand how to think. So make use of that to think. Don't tell that I'm thinking this way. That's, like, I would say, obvious non-starter. Because ultimately everything, at least in product interviews, everything comes down to product journey, customer journey. If customer journey is identified right, problem statement, everything will fall into pieces, right, in their respect. So make sure that that's not what you're doing. And another important aspect, which I had earlier said, is it's not how effectively you're solving the problem or how innovative your solution is. I think it's more about how holistic that solution is. How you are covering every aspect. Right? Are you identifying right personas? Are you making sure you have identified right pain points for those personas? Are you prioritizing those pain points properly? How are you prioritizing those pain points? And what are the features you have in mind? And see, we are here. It's my personal belief that today, whatever technological advancement or solutions we have are not limited by the tech innovation. It's limited by business prioritization. As in, today I want to build something. I don't think technological innovation will stop me from building it. I can go ahead and build potentially anything that I want to build. But businesses are not prioritizing things which are not important. Right? It's a Pareto principle. You build 20%, which serves the 80% purpose. So make sure these views, these ideas are available. You are expressing these things. You are, as an individual, everybody will try and solve that problem which that interviewer is putting in front of them. Everybody will come up with solutions. Why would you stand out? Is because your ideas are different from others. your values, your belief system, your approach to a customer is totally different, right? So that's what makes you different. So make sure it comes out. First, you need to understand how you are speaking all these things, how you are intertwining these things in your answers. So that way, it is really important to speak your heart out. That's why I said first connect at a human level. Hygiene, all the hygiene should be done. All these are philosophical things, but I'm saying underlying, you should also know about what you're talking. You should do product research. You should do read a lot of books, blogs, which how technology is innovating, what are the different trends, how where this company is headed, what is the vision of the company, right? Like I just to give my example, Microsoft has a very firm and strong belief in accessibility, right? We always try to build products which are accessible to everyone. Microsoft vision statement is to empower every person on the planet to achieve more. So it leaves no one. So this needs to come out in your interview if you're aligned with this statement. Personally, I'm very much aligned with this statement. Now also when I am working on a presentation, I make sure I am adding those alt text. If anyone who is visually impaired reading going through the slides would be able to do that. So these are some of the belief elements which makes you aligned with the vision of the company, and that should come out in your interview, because that's an important aspect. Again, a very long monologue answer, but yeah.
So, like another important aspect that I heard from again experts interviewing is that it's also about whether you want to go in the company, because we always think like, okay, this is a good company, I will interview it for it, but how is your match with that company? Does that company believe in the same principles as you do? Look for that also. Just don't see that it's a big name, it's a big brand name, I should go for it. Because if you are capable, there are enough opportunities. Don't go in the wrong place. That is also important.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, you should feel like working. That's like, right? Because you're spending your 60-70% time here. And if you spend, that's also another aspect that interviewers look out for. Let's say I'm hiring for my team, right? I will look for a person with whom I can work with. I can bear my time with. I will not hire someone who is straight upfront, I'm not liking. Right? So that's really important. And as you rightly said, there should be some association and some relevance of you and the company image. All those things are really important. Yeah.
So it's like make yourself employable both in terms of skills, but as a human as well. So
yes, yeah, true.
So then coming to the next part, like you shared a bit about your roles and responsibilities. So once a person's CV shortlisted, he goes through the interview round, then he goes into the corporate. So what can he expect into the corporate? Like he would be giving his 40 life, 30 years, 40 years into that career, into the corporate. So what can he expect? What could be his work-life balance? Any expectation that he should come with in the company? So about something about that.
Yeah, I mean, expectation wise, I think you should make sure that what you want from your career is getting fulfilled and valued in your company. That's the first and most important aspect. Let's say I came here today, I joined a company, I want to learn few things, I want to reach at this level, and I want to move to a different role or a different level in that role. And if I'm not getting enough conducive environment to achieve that, that's not the right place I have to be, right? I'll have to look out for something else. So as a career, when you're building a career, you have a lot of thoughts going at the back of your mind. You're starting your career, it's going to be like a long journey. It's not like college life where you were doing engineering, now you're doing MBA, so you have some change, something to look forward to. Here it's not like that. Now you started working, you have to continue doing that for the rest of your life. So let that feeling sink in for some time, right? And it's not that. So when you're working, make sure that there is some long-term plan you always have, right? You're always chasing uh, that one thing which may be far, far away from where you are right now, so that you always have something to look forward to, and make use of whatever time you have, whatever people you are surrounded with. And in the formative years, in the early years, which currently I am being very cognizant about, is which which kind of leaders you're following will ultimately add to how you are evolving as a leader, or as a manager, or as a executive professional, whatever you call it. You need to have those role models in front of you, right? And there are soft skills. So I have interacted with many people who are very good at, let's say, driving communication on a particular aspect and making sure it reaches to a conclusion. This is a very, very soft skill. It can't be learnt overnight. You have to spend enough time. But unless you have these people in front of you, you will not even know that these skills are needed, right? So make sure that you are always striving for these things in your career, and always look out for people who can guide you, who can be your mentors. There is no age for you to go and learn new things, right? And at the start, it's really important to keep an uh, open view towards learning anything, everything, how that impacts your career and all those things. You know.
Yeah, like when I was reading, I went to one industrialist and he was asked some sort of a similar question. He said, "How do you keep growing in the industry?" Means
Hmm.
because it becomes kind of a stagnant. He says, and second question is, who was your hero? He said, "I am my own hero." I look myself, I am my own hero 10 years later. Like if
Later, yeah.
I'm 35, what I will be in my 45 is my current hero, because that is what I want to achieve. And when I'm at 45, my hero is who am I at 55. So that
Yeah.
are the goals that I want to achieve. That is the person I want to become at 55. So that is something of a very interesting philosophy that he shared. So I was very intrigued by that. So I just, as we come to the end of this podcast, I just highlight two questions that I would like to answer. One is the importance of growing, that you would like to share, even when you are reached in the industry, not to stay stagnated, to keep learning, to emphasize on that. And second is that any final piece of advice that you would like to give to an MBA student, because most of our audience are MBA students. So
Hmm.
any piece of advice that you would like to give them in their journey, their after journey, the corporate, any piece of advice.
Okay. I'll talk about growing, right? So one of the important aspects in a corporate world is switching the context. Today you're working on something. Tomorrow you will not be working on that project. You will be handling something totally else. Like people today who are heading a business, probably like 2 years back heading some other business, right? And it's an open world. You go and try out things in different companies, different worlds. So, and again, I'll borrow this from my manager, who always tells this: is you have to be passionate with detachment, right? You be passionate, do something with very great passion, but you also need to know when to detach from that and move on in your life and find your next target of what you have to be passionate about next. So that's what will keep you growing. Always always have those exit polls or exit strategies in your mind. So generally, when you're entering in a project, you should know how and when you're going to. You should also think about it. You may not be knowing it, but how you're exiting out of it, what are you going to gain out of it, what is the next best thing that you want to do. That will keep you pushing, that will keep you growing, that will keep you inspired to thrive for new things in life. That's the philosophy of growing. Make sure today you are good at something and making use of those skills. Tomorrow, learn a new skill, try to learn a new skill, and then make use of that skill. Then it's a continuous cycle or journey that happens, right? And coming to the last uh, advice or address to all the MBA grads. Uh, I think business or industries in India, at least, are evolving at a very, very rapid pace. We are entering Web3, we are entering more lines of security businesses, security protocols coming in. Even governments are evolving to cater to many different needs of these businesses, right? We have seen many startups coming along, getting very good position in market. I have personally seen many corporate journeys, which are, very inspiring. So this is a really, really positive time for anyone who is graduating in India to go out and seek opportunities and make something out of all these opportunities. There is no dearth of opportunities, there is dearth of skilled people in the industry, right? Unless you are good enough. If you're good enough, you will definitely get people will definitely understand. So, like we have, I mean, at least uh, I have seen few times in my time at Microsoft that we are looking for people, but it's difficult to find the right person who is actually good at doing the job. It can be anything related to product, or it's there in every industry. Right? Especially senior positions are very difficult to find. That's one thing that we have seen. But I would say experiment with your career, but at the same time make sure that you have right sources of learning. You have few people that are guiding you, and few people you are looking up to, who will help you in your journey. And these are very innovative times we have got. If you come to Bangalore, you will every day you will see a new company coming along
Right.
with very, very, yeah, very, very different ideas. And see, uh, it we are interested. I am interested in trying out new things. Whenever there is a new company launching new products, we make sure that we try out at least once. So there is enough population here who is extremely interested in trying out new tech, at least in Bangalore, but it's happening in all across India, and we are seeing startups or ideas coming from all parts of Indian societies, right? And they are getting enough traction. So there is enough opportunity out there. Just go out, try to find your place in the market, and learn those soft skills. Slowly try to learn, try to see what are the important aspects. Work on your CVs, and but there is no replacement to traditional statement. There is no replacement to working hard. You have to keep thriving every day, and make sure that even if competition is tough, find your differentiation. POD, MBA marketing language, we call it POD, point of differentiation. Right? You find that. If you find that, you are good. Leverage that to the fullest. Make sure that your value is recognized in the market. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your wisdom with us. I think a lot of people will benefit from what you said, the points that you raised. So thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thanks, Weber. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, and all the best for your future journey. And all the best to all the aspirants and everyone who is watching the video at any point of time. All the very best for whatever they do. Thank you. The folks are coming in.